Artlist.io. Music licensing reimagined. Artlist.io. Music licensing reimagined.
All right, peace and blessings, family. I hope everybody is doing great. I am so blessed and so honored to have my sister here with me. I haven't seen her in a while, but I think she's incredible. I follow her a lot, and I want their queen. Introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone. My name is Maticia Sudah. I live in Las Vegas, Nevada with my husband, Yusuf Sudah. I do a lot of things to occupy myself and to also assist the community. I'm a licensed realtor here in Nevada. I am a international retreat organizer for women. I am a certified kinetic yoga instructor. And let me see what else. I think that's it. That's enough. I think that's it.
You do so many things, but let's back up for a minute. When you were starting out your life, did you envision yourself doing all the things you just said you wanted to do that you're doing?
No, I actually wanted to be a surgeon when I was a child.
Okay.
And
Where,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
no, I'm just saying. So, where did you start out at? Like, what part of the country did you start out from?
I am a Midwest girl. I was born and raised in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you said you wanted to be a surgeon.
Yes, I wanted to be a doctor. I wanted to be a surgeon. And if I had more supportive parents, I would probably be the director of surgery somewhere by now. I loved, I loved like discovering and cutting and okay, like for example, in biology class, when people were freaked out about, cutting open or dissecting their frogs and their pigs, I would ask to do it for them. And of course I couldn't, but I would always just slice it just so like layer by layer and pin it back. I mean, I was really good at that. And if I have the time on my side, I would probably still pursue being a surgeon. I just love all that stuff.
Wow.
Yeah.
So when you were coming up, what was the environment like? When you think about health and wellness, what was your environment like as a young woman?
Um, like what age range are you talking about? Like childhood
So,
or
like high school, like middle school, high school, like right around that time.
okay. Well, I ate everything. My parents didn't know anything about eating healthy, so we ate the standard American diet. I loved my fried chicken and my pork chops and my smothered rice and my, ham hocks and all that stuff. I mean, I ate a standard American soul food diet, that most that most African families ate in America.
Right on, right on. So when you look back at that particular time, the adults in your life, what was their health status when you think back
Very
on that?
poor. And since then, it has declined a lot. I've had a lot of people pass from, you know, um, preventable diseases, that could be controlled through diet. Um, my mother currently has cancer. So, it's kind of the typical story of what we go through as Africans living in America, still holding on to the food that, that plantation owners passed down to us, giving us the scraps. And, at that time we had to do with what we had because we had to survive, we had to eat. But, now we have better choices. And, I really do. I am a big advocate in my community to try to get people to eat better. I have helped sisters clean out their cabinets. I have helped sisters with going over their homes and cooking, sharing menus, teaching them about fasting and smoothies instead of like typical bacon and eggs for breakfast, because a lot of that stuff is just, it really wreaks havoc on our systems over time.
How did you first get introduced to the changing of your lifestyle? Like, how did you get introduced to that? And how old were you about?
I was, well, I got introduced to it at first when I was 26, when I first met my husband, but I didn't marry him then. I married him when I was 40. So after, yeah, I made him chase me a little bit.
Okay.
But so when I turned 40, we got married, and he's the one that had already been a plant-based eater for over 40 years at that point.
Wow.
So he never forced me, but I'm married to an older man. And I just realized, I'm like, he has more energy than I do. He has more spirit than I do. And also a lot of friends his age who didn't follow a plant-based diet. So when I finally went to him and I said, hey, there's something to this and I want to try it. So he assisted me in eliminating things little by little until eventually, after a year and a half, I wasn't eating any meat or dairy. And it really changed my life, because looking back, if I would have continued on that road now that I'm going on 52 years old, I definitely would have a lot of the health issues that my peers have. Absolutely. And people in my family. They're riddled with diabetes, hypertension, high blood pressure, cancer, some blindness, losing limbs. And my mother just had open heart surgery about a month ago. So I am very happy that I kind of deterred just by changing my diet. Was it hard? Absolutely. Yeah.
Mhm.
Do I still miss some stuff after being a plant-based eater for almost 12 years? Yep. Yes, I do. I miss my fried chicken, but I learned to eat for nutrition and not for taste. So before I eat something, I just ask myself, is this going to bring more liberty and life into my body, or is it going to promote illness, dis-ease of the body, and or death? And I know we all have to go. People love to tell me we gotta diet something. True. You do. We do. Nobody makes it out alive. But do you want to leave here in pain? Being a burden to your family, just because you're hooked up to things, when all we have to do is just, make conscious choices with the things that we put into our body. We're children of the sun, so we should be eating things of the sun. We were plant-powered people. Our ancestors were, I've been to Kemet, or otherwise known as Egypt, and there's evidence on the walls of different temples that our ancestors did eat a plant-based diet, and meat was for ceremonial purposes.
Right on. So how did you first get introduced to yoga?
Wow. I got introduced to yoga when I was living in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I was 26 years old. That was the first time I went to yoga. But something had happened, like tragedy had happened in my family, and I was really depressed. And I had a client when I owned day spas back in the Midwest, and she owned a yoga studio, and she saw how depressed I was over what was going on in my family, and she offered me free yoga classes. And at that time, it was Iyengar based yoga classes, and I started taking those classes, and it yoga really changed my life. It really saved me in a way.
Mm, mm.
Hmm. And then as I got older, um, you know, our late sister, who's now an ancestor, Mama Yale, she was the one who introduced me to Kemetic yoga. She said, "Well, why don't you do Kemetic yoga?" And I was like, "What is that?" And when I researched it, I found my master teacher, Yasir Rahotep. I went to Jamaica in 2015 and I became a certified instructor, brought that practice here to Las Vegas, Nevada, and introduced it to my community. And yeah, we're still rolling with it.
What is it about yoga though? Like, how do you center yourself in it? Because we live in a world that has so many things coming at you all the time. And how are you able to center yourself and just do it?
It's discipline. Just like we get up in the morning and we know we got to brush our teeth and wash our tail. Yoga is just a part of it's part of my system. It's part of um, myself. It's part of my internal power. It's part of my spiritual armor. If I don't do it, I don't feel right. I don't feel grounded. I don't feel balanced. So it's just something that I know that I have to do. Excuse my husband.
Oh, right. No. Yeah, I have my great nephew. Sometimes he's back here walking around. So you're great.
Yes.
So yoga's great. What other spiritual practices we could be implementing as well? Like yoga that you think that sometimes we kind of sleep on because we, you know, may not know about it.
I do sound healing. I'm also a sound healing practitioner. Um, so I do that for myself. And I find that that's offered a lot in a lot of different communities around the nation. So a lot of people offer sound healing. You know, that frequency does help. It can help over time remove trauma. It can help repair DNA. It really helps you to change your frequency, and it helps you feel better depending on the sound and the chakra or the karakasa that it's focusing on. So sound healing is great. Oh, hi. Tai Chi is very good. I haven't been a regular practitioner of Tai Chi. It's kind of hard to fit everything in for me because I'm busy doing real estate. But the things that I do for my spiritual health, meditation, absolutely. Every day I do that. Going to my ancestor altar, talking to them, communicating with them, listening to the listening to the messages, because there's messages everywhere. We just have to be open enough. We have to be a clear enough channel in order to see the messages. Um, let's see, Reiki. I do enjoy Reiki. Sometimes I'll go in and have it done, or sometimes I'll have it done um, on a distance basis. A sister here does that for me. Um, and I know this isn't considered a spiritual practice, but you got to rest.
Hmm.
We have to rest. Resting in a clean, calm environment is detrimental to our health. We have to rest, and not just close our eyes and get a nap, but really rest. Spiritual baths, that's part of my routine. Um, Earthing. I go to parks a lot and just sit on the grass. I just lay on the grass. Sometimes I put my legs up a tree and I'll just allow the earth to take any type of negative energy or any type of problems or issues that I may be dealing with, because sometimes real estate is very stressful. So I need to, just get that out of my body. The earth, is a wonderful healer. That's healer number one. Everything that we need is, on the planet. So those are just a few things that I do.
So, okay, so you said a few things, because most times a lot of us do religion, and and that's one thing. But what you're talking about really is like a deep connection, like to being present. You know what I'm saying? Like just to even be still, and lay on the grass long enough. Some people don't even like to touch grass or
They
like,
sure don't. They sure don't. You're right about that, sis. I
you know,
remember, just teaching yoga. When I taught yoga in the past on a very regular basis before COVID, when I'd say classes outside today, people's whole faces would shift and change. I'm like, no, we have to get the energy of Ra. We got to get the energy of the sun. We have to get the grounding of Geb, the earth. We have to breathe Shu, the life force energy of the air. People talk about, oh, bugs and this and that. I'm like, listen, we're part of nature. We're going to have to get over it. And actually practicing yoga outdoors is my favorite way to practice yoga.
how would someone start? If someone's watching this and they was like, because sometimes you go to the yoga class and it'd be full of other folk, but like people act like you have to be like a tree hugger to do these things. You know what I mean? How can one just start, to even introduce themselves to yoga?
Just breathe. Breathe. Yoga is really about the breath. It's not about standing on your head. It's not about doing the splits. It's not about doing, being super flexible. It is about being, like, having conscious awareness of your breath, taking full inhales, filling up the lungs as much as you can. At the top of that inhale, you want to hold the breath, as long as you can comfortably, maybe to a count of 3 to 5 in the beginning. And then you want to have a full exhalation. And then at the bottom of the exhalation, you want to honor the void too by holding the breath. And then while that's going on, after you get finished with that, or you get that on a good rhythm, then you can start really focusing on the breath, just listening to the breath. Is your breath shallow? Do you feel wheezing? And as you continue to do conscious breathing and clear up your diet, those things will clear up. So yoga is really mainly about the breath. True yoga is. It's not about flexibility or what you can do with your body. It's a spiritual, ethereal practice.
So the phases of life, when for those who are still menstruating, what are some of the things they can do to help them have better health? You know what I'm saying? Before we get down the road to menopause, but what kind of things as a young girl that maybe things we should be more conscious of to make sure we have better health?
Gotta let go of that dairy, sisters. Gotta let go of that milk. Gotta let go of that cow milk. You gotta let go of that cheese. You have to let go of products that have dairy, even like your breads, and crackers. You want to get sprouted breads, sprouted grains, things that don't contain milk, because milk translates in the body as mucus. So mucus is like glue. And, when that sits in your room, you'll get heavy cramping, heavy bleeding, very prolonged periods. And, that's not something that you really want to experience. And Eating a lot of dairy can also assist in the formation of fibroids. So, we definitely want to be very, very aware of what we're taking into our bodies. If you do eat meat, just try not to eat it all the time, every day. Try to eat things that are natural from the earth. Um, that that's a huge thing, because I know when I started my transition, I noticed that my cycles were practically non-existent when I changed my diet, and my cramps just went away. So that's the advice that I would give to the young women. It's very important to watch your dairy intake. If you lessen that, your cycle will completely change.
How important is housing to your health and wellness?
It's very important. Your environment, in my opinion, is a reflection of what's going on inside in your mind. If your house is chaotic, if it's dirty, if it's disorganized, if it doesn't smell good, if stuff is everywhere, that's a reflection of what's going on. But when your space is airy and clean and comfortable and beautiful, that really helps you get things done. It helps you be more productive. Um, it and it also allows for your environment to be calmer and less stressful, especially if you're living with other people.
So you're saying having a clearer house kind of allows energy to kind of move freely.
Yes. Yeah, I mean that's just my opinion, but yes. I also cleanse my house on a regular basis spiritually. So whatever I'm feeling my house may need, I may burn some cedar, I may burn some thyme, I may burn some sage, I may burn some, it just depends. But and then, having the windows open while you're doing that, so stuff just isn't circulating around. But yeah, that's very, very important. Very important to keep the energy clear in your home, because that's where you're laying your head. That's where your children are laying their heads, and, your partner. So you want to have the energy of your home just to be as peaceful as possible. So in my opinion, organization really helps with that.
What about in terms of having people in your space?
Mm.
How much does that contribute to your health and wellness?
I think a lot. I don't let everybody in my house. That's I think that's kind of like a very African thing, like we've all heard our grandma be like, nope, you can't go over there, or nope, they can't come over here. Oh, they don't sit right in my spirit. And,
Sure.
if you feel that, then you should not feel obligated. Like, your house is your sanctuary, it's your temple. It is your place for you to do your work. So if you have an energy around that does not align with your spirit, yeah, everyone is not invited to my home.
What kind of uh, either exercises or I don't know, it can be retreats. A lot of people are dealing with trauma. What are some of the ways people can start to address those traumas?
Well, we have to stop covering it. We have to start talking about it. That's the first thing. And when you start talking about your trauma, you may lose some friends. I did. I lost a whole family. But it helped me in my elevation. It helped me in the clearing of my spirit. And, it assisted me in turning my pain into power, into helping the young girls that I assist, my sisters, China Hudson and Nikki Palacio, with in the Girls' Rites of Passage.
Mhm.
I can't tell them that you know, they need to be more open. If I'm not open, if I'm afraid to tell my story, and, you know, your story or our stories help to empower other women, other people. So it's very important to start talking about it. Um, you know, I was a little renegade when I was younger. Like, I actually confronted the person, you know, when I was younger. And that person has, you know, since deceased, but, you know, there was really no real apology or anything. There was just like, you know, yeah, I did it. And what, you know, but sometimes you have to accept the non-apology that you're never going to get. And you just got to move on with your life. And so, you know, I was very fortunate to meet a man, you know, when I was 26 years old, who's currently my husband, who really helped me who's helping me still, you know, work through that trauma, because sometimes it pops up and, you know, it manifests into self-doubt. It manifests um, into depression, into anxiety, you know, but I know that I've come a really, really long way. And I'm definitely a changed person from, you know, my younger years.
Wow. So did you go to counseling, uh, or just had really good friends, or like what was your journey to that space to reclaim your power?
I did not go to counseling because at the time, it just wasn't even something that I thought about.
Right on.
Because, you know, our people, especially 20 years ago, we did not talk about mental health. We did not go to therapy. We did not go to psychologists, psychiatrists. We didn't do any of that.
Wow.
And if you did, you know, you were labeled. But it wasn't even a thought for me. It just mine was just like deep spiritual work, ancestral connection, you know, connecting and listening with my husband, and reading, writing, nature connection, changing my diet. It just kind of like, I'm not going to say washed everything away, but it just helped me deal with things better and just put everything into perspective more. But, you know, counseling is something that I would probably look into now at this time. But I just haven't done it. But I do believe that people should get it if they need it. Absolutely.
Mhm. So how would you sum up your 20s when you were in your 20s? What were those times like for you?
I was so ratchet, you bro. I was out there because in hindsight, I was dealing with all the stuff that happened to me when I was a child. You know, I drank heavily, I smoked heavily, I partied heavily. I rarely got any sleep. I was always clubbing. I was always trying to pretend I was having a good time, but inside I was dying.
Mm.
That sums up my 20s.
So
Keeping it
how,
real.
how did you get from Milwaukee to where you are right now?
I got to Las Vegas because my husband got an opportunity to be CAO of a company that deals with diesel emissions. So they were headquartering here. So we moved here in 2011. So
Okay.
that's how I got to Vegas.
Okay. So was it different from coming from where you were from?
Yes, definitely.
What were
Def-
some of the differences?
well, I enjoy the weather in Vegas much more. I'd rather be hot than cold in the Midwest. Um, I felt like I left at the right time because I felt like I was being choked. I needed to remove myself from my birthplace and from all of the negativity that I experienced when I was living in Milwaukee. And being able to step back from Milwaukee really was the genesis of my healing.
Mm.
And then when I moved to Vegas, I was pretty isolated for the first year or two, but then I met my sisters, China Hudson. My husband found the West Las Vegas Art Center, and I ran to the art center because I didn't really see any Black people in Vegas when I first moved here. I was like, where are people? So I started taking African dance and African drumming, and then then I became a yoga instructor, and then it just like went from there. So, Las Vegas is a very spiritually healing place for me, but
Wow.
I'm not going to stay here for the rest of my life.
So what did African dance offer you?
Healing. Now, I have two left feet. I am not the best dancer, but there was something about those drums and just moving your body. It was like a resurrection when I first went to African dance. And I had seen African dance performances before, and I thought they were always so beautiful. So I decided to go, and yeah, that definitely was a part of my healing. And I picked up some weight when I first moved from Wisconsin to Nevada, so that was hard for me, and I didn't know where I picked up this weight. I was like, why did I gain like 30 pounds out of nowhere? African dance, like, it just took it off within a few months. I was back to normal, but it really I really didn't realize the power and magic of the drums. And then I started dancing regularly for quite a long time. I even had the nerve, I'm gonna say the nerve because I'm not a good dancer. I even had the nerve to join the African dance company and do some
There
performance.
you go.
I was always in the back, but
That's all right.
yeah, but I was just so joyful. I was so happy to be able to do that with my sisters and brothers. So yeah.
Wow, I think that's awesome. It's like when people join the church choir, they can't really sing, but you ain't gonna never really, they just in the choir. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? So I think that's awesome. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? So you did African. Tell us about that cultural center. Even though I love it, I love that woman's head in the front. I seen when I was there. I was like,
Isn't
oh
it
my,
beautiful?
oh,
Yeah.
I loved.
That's a new installation. That's a new installation. The West Las Vegas Art Center is a wonderful place. It's a place where a lot of magic happens. I call it Little Africa for a nickname, because on Saturday, it's like a family reunion. You go there, and everybody who wants to participate with their children, they're all there.
Yeah.
So, they have African dance, African drumming that brother Hassani Palacio teaches. They have a chess club, that's focused on the youth. Um, I used to teach comedic yoga there for like 6 years. That was long standing. What else is done? They have a lot of engineering classes, like audio visual classes. They have ballet, they have tap, they have hip hop classes. I mean, it's everything. It's the center of the community.
Yeah. I love that you have the young people, but you also have elders, and you have everybody in between. And it just feels like a community. It's like if I
It
want
is.
to find us, you go there.
Yep.
And
That's
there we
exactly
are,
where you go. Yep.
which I really, really love. How do you feel now approaching as you get older? Let's talk a little bit about menopause. I know sometimes in our community we don't really talk about that subject as much as we should.
Mhm.
Um, and very few of us are blessed to even go through that,
Exactly.
considering how hard things can be and how life is.
Hmm.
Menopause, what has that journey been like for you?
Different. I didn't know what was happening to me. And the first sign of it I had when I was 46 years old. I didn't have a cycle for like 6 months. And at first, obviously, I thought I was pregnant. And I took a test and I wasn't. And, it's not, unfortunately, because of what, the trauma that happened with my family, I couldn't ask my mother about it. So I would ask my aunts about it. And, my aunt was like, well, we all stopped at 40. I don't know why you're that age and you're still having it, but anyway, after the 6 months, it came back. And I have still been having irregular cycles. And now I'm 51. Um, it's still here. Like, but I almost think because my diet is so different from my family's is the reason why I still am menstruating. But it also affected me emotionally. Like, I didn't know why I wanted to be alone. I had to talk to my husband and be like, listen, I don't know what's going on with me, but I'm just going to go to the park today and read a book. I need to be by myself. I'm going to send you my location, but I don't know what's going on, And then I started talking to other elders in the community, and they were like, this is what you're going through. But the real answer was when I got my hormones checked. So I recommend to all women to get your hormones checked. We are fortunate enough to have a wonderful OBGYN her name is Dr. Martha Jehobitzer. She's in our community. She's a sister. And she sent me for blood work, and my estrogen and my progesterone were 0. She was like, I don't even know how you're standing. How are you standing? I was like, I don't know. I just had, we're African women, we're Black women, so we always gonna get it done regardless. So I was pushing through and pushing through and pushing through. But it was crazy because, I'm a realtor. So when I would go show homes, sometimes I would get so tired just driving that I would have to pull over in a parking lot, lock all my doors, crank all the AC because we're in Vegas, and I would have to knock out for 45 minutes. Just that's how tired I would be.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. So my symptoms were extreme fatigue, central weight gain. I just gained in my belly, and irregular cycles and irritability.
Wow.
But now through herbs, that's no longer. And I did try HRT for a period of time, but that didn't really work for me.
HRT?
Hormone replacement therapy.
Okay.
Because my progesterone and my estrogen were non-existent. So at first it was great. I had a lot of energy. But then when I had my cycle, that estrogen, I would bleed for like a month. So I was like, nope, can't do that. So I got off of it. And so I'm still feeling great. And I just am very aware of what I eat. And I'm very aware of my, my herbs. Like my herbs are my medicine.
Right on, right on. So, what things do you think we could do in our community to be more aware of menopause?
Well, the older women who are ascending into menopause need to talk about it. I started talking about it really about 5 or 6 years ago when the yoga studio was open. And it was funny because I would have conversations with women individually, but then when I would offer classes that were based around menopause, no one would come. And my classes would always be packed. But if I put menopause on something, no one would come. I'm like, why are we so ashamed of this? To me, menopause is like, it's part of puberty, adolescence, and then menopause. Like, it's just the big sister of puberty. It should be just as celebrated. Because in my research about menopause, it is a time when women go into themselves because they have spent decades raising their families, taking care of their husbands. Now it's time to concentrate on your creative fire. And if you don't have an opportunity to do that, you can go into some type of mild depression. We need a little bit more time to ascend through that transition, and it's not celebrated. And I just really want to change the narrative on that.
So tell us about your retreats.
So the retreat that I am hosting with my lovely, beautiful Auntie Bingy, she lives in Portland, Jamaica. Portland, Jamaica is like my favorite place in the world. I will live in Portland, Jamaica soon. I will take my last breath in Portland, Jamaica. Like, that's my spot. I've traveled the world and that's my spot. I don't know why. I don't think I may have some ancestral connection there, but it's a very African place, you know, like it's very bush, and I really like that. So anyway, the retreat is a creation of mine, just from going through my life, from ascending in my life. I want women who are going towards this stage of life to really embrace it and to not be ashamed of it and to stand in it and to recognize what it is. So this retreat is going to be a gathering of women, whether you're premenopausal, not anywhere near menopause, in menopause, or postmenopause. You can come to this retreat. All wombs are welcome. If you have a womb, you can come. So we have, different activities lined up. We have beautiful accommodations right on the ocean, Seabell Resort. We are going to have a plant-based retreat. And all the food is going to be made by Aunt Bingy. I met Bingy back in 2016 for the first time, and I've been going to visit her very regularly since then. And, we're like family to each other. Her food is amazing. It is healing. When I go to Jamaica and I eat Auntie's food for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, I'm a different person when I leave. Like she's just an amazing woman, and her magic and her spirit and her love goes into that food. And just to know that we're eating real organic food, not that crap that we get from the grocery store that says organic, that we think is organic. But, me and Auntie be walking down the road, there'll be a tree full of akis, and, she'll double up her lapa or her whatever, and she'll start picking the aki. She's like, oh yeah, we're going to have this for dinner tonight, man. I love that. And, just eating like breadfruit and yam and plantain, and just, drinking natural water that's shooting out of the side of a mountain. You don't have to buy water. It's just, so anyway, we're creating a magical experience for women who just need a break. It's 1 week. It's June 11th through the 18th. And we're going to go on excursions, and we have indigenous women of the island, bush women, who are definitely going to give you that work, education about herbs, about living a stress-free life. So not only do we have Auntie Bingy, we have Sister P. Sister P is like you in Jamaica, bro, but she's in her 70s. Like, she is an activist, and she's been doing it for decades. Like, every time I sit with her, I'm like, man, you're Sister Ro. In fact, today, if you go on my Facebook page, there's an interview with Sister P. So go and see yourself in about 4
Okay, I'll show you.
So her, and then there's Mama G. Mama G lives in Charlestown, which is close to Moortown, and she's an indigenous bush woman. She's going to help us in trying to live a more natural life. We're going to go to the African Museum up in Charlestown, and we're gonna create like a coal stove by the river. We're gonna have lunch by the river, made by our own hands, swim in the river, sit by the river. I mean, there's gonna be so many wonderful things that we do. We're going to have yoga. I'm going to be teaching comedic yoga every day. We're going to wake up every day around 6:30. We're going to have 90 minutes of yoga and meditation. That's going to start our day every morning. And if you are a carnivore, don't be afraid of, because there's not going to be any meat. The food is filling. When you eat plant-based food, please keep in mind that it is so high in nutrients and minerals and vitamins that you're not going to eat as much. And that food is going to clean your colon. It's like an active colon cleansing every single day. So it's going to help to clean out what may be sitting in your colon, for a long period of time. So, people who eat meat, they tend to think they don't get full, if you eat plant-based. But we really shouldn't be eating until we're full anyway, but that's a whole different conversation. But just know that you are going to be nutritionally satisfied, and it's going to get to the point where you're like, okay, I can't even eat lunch because I'm still full from breakfast, or I can't even eat dinner because I'm still full from lunch. And, with all of our activities that we'll be doing, I guarantee it's going to be magical for anyone who chooses to attend.
Wow. So I got your flyer up. The only thing I didn't see, if people wanted to register for this, how would they do it?
Because that's the first page. There's actually a second page
Okay.
to it. Yes. But anyway, you can go to www.headwrapsandcowrieshells.org. That will show you videos of my past trip to Jamaica, which I was just there in January.
Head wraps and what?
Head wraps and cowrie shells. So head wraps and then COWRIE shells.org. And it gives full details of the retreat. It has past video of what Auntie Bingy and I were doing. And you can register there. But yeah, there is a second page to the flyer.
What made you put this retreat together?
Because I didn't have the assistance that I needed when I was starting to go through menopause. I couldn't get the answers that I needed. Sometimes when I went to people and asked about it, they'd be like, you'll just get through it. That is not good enough for me.
Not a good answer.
That is not a good answer. Don't tell people they just gonna get through it. So I just decided to start this retreat because we need assistance. We need a group of sisters that are going to be able to support each other through this ascension, And I purposely named it the Ascension because, so many people think, oh, menopause, you're washed up, you're old, you don't have anything to offer. Go and just go by the wayside. You're not this, you're not that anymore. No, we are ascending into our femininity, into our creativity, into more life. We've done our job partially for the planet. And now it's time for us to, ascend to the next level. Menopause is a beautiful thing if you know how to handle it. It can be a beautiful thing. But there's certain things that women will succumb to because they're craving certain things and they just have to have certain things. But you don't. It's just a matter of discipline and just having that conversation with yourself before you tear up a plate of food that you shouldn't eat. Is this going to contribute to my life, or is this going to contribute to dis-ease and imbalances in my body?
Ain't that true? Ain't that the real truth? So that's so true. What where do you see yourself in the next, say, 50 years of your life?
I'm going to be an old bushwoman living in Portland, Jamaica. I'm going to be the woman that came from the United States that's going to be helping all the young girls and all the young women, making sure they're educated, making sure that they have access to their dreams and their goals. And that's why I'm here. You know, I am, even though I'm not a physical biological mother, I am a mother. I am a part of the motherhood. I am a part of the sisterhood. And I feel that I didn't have children just so I could have time for everyone else's children. I really do. I feel like that's part of my mission in life. So, you know, my work with young girls started in Las Vegas, but it will definitely end in Portland, Jamaica. I know I'm going to be a triple digit person. You know, I'm going to be teaching classes on how to eat. I'm going to be helping my auntie run her restaurant. You know, I'm going to be a retreat organizer with women coming from all over the world, you know, coming to Portland, Jamaica, to learn, to rest, to heal, and to, you know, start their journeys of love and healing. I will keep some roots here just because, you know, I do real estate. It's very important for me to get our people into homes, if that is something that they want to do. I have helped many people get into homes that never thought they could or were told that they could not just because they had the wrong person helping them. And I definitely try to make sure that my team is a reflection of me, my mortgage lender, my, you know, just to make us feel comfortable, because home buying can be a very intimidating process. And if you don't have the right people behind you, people will give up on you and just toss you to the wayside if your credit score isn't at 800 or whatever at the moment. But, you know, fortunately, I have a team that even if your credit is 500, we're going to get you to that 640 or that 680, and we're going to get you into a home. So I'll keep roots doing that. I'll still be teaching yoga. I'll still be practicing yoga. I'll still be doing all of my, you know, my spiritual work, and I'll still travel the world. That's how I see myself.
How long have you been selling real estate?
I I will be a realtor 4 years this year in November.
Wow, I don't know why I thought you was doing it longer than that.
No, literally was like when I started, the ancestors just blessed me and I was busy right away. And I gained the knowledge right away from doing the transactions. I mean, there are people who started with me that aren't even in the business anymore. I mean, I got through COVID, still getting there, still getting through all of the craziness with the market. So, you know, how I got into real estate is a very interesting story. It came to me in a dream, a very ancestral dream. And I listened to that dream. And 3 days later, I was in school.
Wow. Wow. So you still be selling real estate, you still be teaching yoga class. You'll be in Jamaica, bushwoman, and
Yes.
which would be beautiful. And still making those connections. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because all the things you're doing has everything to do with relationships
Yes.
and how
Yeah.
we make people feel and help people be better human beings. And
Hmm.
I think that that is just beautiful. Thank you so much for taking time to talk to me today. I know you got like other things you could be doing, but you made time for me, so I'm very grateful. Very grateful. So,
Well,
any
thank you.
closing words?
Um, Thank you so much for having me, because I know that you interview a lot of people and you could have chose anyone, and you know, it was my turn again. So I'm so grateful to you. I'm thankful to you for all the work that you do. Um, and the things that you do for your girls. And we look forward to seeing them this year. I am out of my pandemic phase, so I will be coming out. So the next time y'all roll through, I will be right there. I'll be more than happy to teach a yoga class to the girls wherever you want. And I just want to send a message just to our people, like, we're going to be all right. We're going to make it. Everything is going to be fine. We just have to really get back to our African minds. We have to liberate our minds. We have to decolonize our minds. And the way to decolonize our minds is through wonderful relationships, wonderful food, wonderful thoughts, and sit at the feet of your elders. Go visit your elders, check on them, you know. And I'm just looking forward to seeing all of us just reclaim the power that I know that we all have within us. Like we all have it. Nothing is special about me or anybody else who you feel is, you know, in a spot that you want to be in. The only difference was that that person decided that they were going to make that happen. We all have that. We all can activate our internal power to do whatever we want to do. So that would be my closing words.
Well, sis, don't hang up. Y'all, thank you so much for joining us. And I hope y'all have a beautiful day. See you next time.
Artlist.io. Music licensing reimagined.